Hi everyone, so today we're going to be repotting my Venus flytraps, and I have some sphagnum peat moss, perlite, distilled water, a container big enough to mix the soil, and some styrofoam cups which I'm going to use as the new pots for the plants. First we start off by making the soil mixture for carnivorous plants, which is a 1-to-1 ratio of sphagnum peat moss and perlite. We start off by scooping some of the sphagnum peat moss and putting it into the container. Next, you add the perlite. While I was working on the soil mixture, I found that I added a little too much perlite, so I went ahead and added more sphagnum peat moss. Lastly, you add some distilled water to the mix. You have to add quite a bit of water because the peat moss soaks it up very easily, and you keep adding water and stirring the mix together until the peat moss is soaked and the perlite is well mixed in. After adding the water and mixing, your carnivorous plant soil should look like this. You'll find some areas where you have excess water because the peat moss is initially very hydrophobic. However, in a few minutes' time, everything should be soaked up. Now we can prepare the pots. I like to stick a knife in and run a chopstick through it when I have the cup flipped over because I prefer to water my plants from the bottom, which avoids waterlogging. Alright, so I went ahead and gave each cup 4 holes, which I thought would make it easier to water the plant. Now you take the carnivorous plant soil mixture that you made earlier and you fill the cup halfway. This allows you to give enough room for the plant's rhizome and its roots. The rhizome is that white bulb that you see at the base of a plant. To uproot the plant, you have to squeeze the sides of the pot gently until the plant comes out smoothly. Be careful though in this procedure because you could touch the trigger hairs on the Venus flytrap, and the Venus flytrap can only close a certain amount of times in its life, usually 10 to 13. Now that you've uprooted your plant, you're going to want to put it in some distilled water to make it easier for the moss or the potting soil to come off of the plant's roots. In order to avoid damaging the roots, I did not pick out all of the remaining moss attached to the roots. With your uprooted plant in hand, gently guide your plant's roots into the pot and add enough soil to cover the rhizome and the roots. Now, you've finished repotting your Venus flytraps. Make sure to water the plants to alleviate some of the stress you've put on the plant and to prevent root shock.